progress report season.
It is progress report season.
I got a question for you.
All right.
If when you were a kid, if your progress report or report card came with emojis, what emojis would have appeared on your progress report, Jen?
Is there one for a kid who talks too much? Because all of my report cards said Jenny needs to talk less to the people around her. I talked a lot. I still talk a lot.
Yeah, just like a lot of...
a lot of that. And maybe like the face palm, because I also did a lot of things where it's like, what are you doing, girl? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. What about you?
I'd hate to admit it, but I think the monocle. The monocle one. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And why?
Brian's a know-it-all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved report card time, though.
Really?
I loved it. I learned to read cursive because this is aging myself. Do we remember that report cards used to be handwritten by our teachers on the triplicate carbon paper or whatever? And we got the yellow copy. And my teacher, and I want to say it was in grade 2. That's what my head says, but me reading in grade 2 probably. I mean, I know I could read, but I was walking home from school when I did it, so I don't think it was grade 2. But I taught myself to read cursive because my teacher had handwritten it in cursive, and I wanted to know what it said so badly that I forced myself to learn how to read cursive.
That's interesting.
Yeah, necessity.
Do you write cursive?
If I'm in a hurry, yes. If I don't care if it's neat, because I don't have the neatest cursive.
Okay.
But I do. I like cursive. It's quicker.
Yeah, I vacillate between cursive, between printing all capitals and printing really nicely. Sometimes all at once.
Let's say all in the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of writing consistently in cursive because it's really pretty when people are able to pull it off.
It is.
Yeah.
But mine is not the neatest.
It's not Brian's.
It's not it's not
Yeah.
proper. It's my version of cursive.
Okay.
So there's some interesting letter formations in there. My J's don't look like they're supposed to, but that's okay.
Well, this is interesting, but this is not what we're here for.
We're here for something completely different.
Yes, this is
that's
Hall
okay.
Pass.
Yes.
And we're talking about different aspects of the schooling system here in Ontario and helping parents navigate that minefield. And in this particular episode, we're talking about progress reports
Yes.
because it's progress report season,
Yes.
the true spooky season.
Yes.
Let's start off with some basics. Jen, is there a distinction between a progress report and a report card?
Yes. Progress reports, so they always come out at this time, sort of end of October, beginning of November. And they are just giving you a little snapshot into how the first few months of school have gone. There used to be 3 report cards a year. And then we realized we don't really know enough about kids in the first 2 months to write a full-fledged report card. So now we're just going to find out how are they doing, what is the rest of the year potentially going to look like.
Okay, so this is essentially feedback for parents, but there are no marks that are binding.
Correct.
In it.
We are going to find out if a student is progressing with difficulty, progressing well, or progressing very well. Those are our 3 marks.
Yep.
And so those are our 3 benchmarks, I would say is probably a better word.
Yep.
And then we are also going to figure out or find out how things are going in the classroom as far as how our students are learning and how they are acting, reacting to things that are happening in school.
Okay. So when a parent receives this report card, not progress card, that's a progress report, a pristine copy that has not sat in the bottom of a backpack for 3 days.
Yep.
Of course. There's multiple parts. Page 1, what am I looking at?
Page 1 is my favorite page.
It's my favorite page too.
So before we even hop into kind of what our favorite part is, because I feel like we've got the same favorite part.
Yeah.
At the top, it is going to tell you how many days your kid has been absent and how many times your kid has been late. And sometimes this can be an indicator of like, why are they struggling? Are they late? Have they been late 40 times and we've only been in school for 50 days? And so what is that first class of the day? Maybe it's math. Well, maybe we're struggling in math, so we need to address that. So a little tiny thing, but something to take into consideration if things are not looking the way that we're expecting them to. And then our favorite part, learning skills, work habits.
Work habits.
We love those.
Yes.
Why do we love those so much?
Well, because they're an indicator of sort of like the soft skills or the skills behind learning, right? The cognitive development piece that's going to indicate how a student is able to take advantage of being in a classroom setting, right? Are they able to work independently? Are they able to deal with distractions and redirect back to task? How is the student able to cope with being around other kids in a classroom? And yeah, the academic part is important, but these skills are the skills that are going to translate for the not just for this year, but for the rest of their life.
Absolutely.
Even after school, right? We have to know how to organize and how to time manage and how to plan. Like, regardless of what you do in life, these are skills that we all have to take advantage of.
Absolutely.
So it could be a good indication that those habits, those skill sets, those cognitive processes are developing along the milestones expected, or an early warning sign that maybe some early intervention might be warranted.
I love that. And that's exactly it. And I think it is a discussion of process over product. So our grade when it's on a report card, or our progressing with difficulty well, very well on a progress report, that's our product. That's what we are getting at the end of the day. That's what this grade has been, what are the kids putting out? This is the how and this is the process.
What are your inputs is going to dictate what your outputs are.
It's the roadmap almost.
It's the roadmap.
It is. And I wrote down, I'm going to pull it out. I wrote down what the 6 of them are because knew I wasn't going to remember them all. Responsibility, organization, independent work, collaboration, initiative, and self-regulation. And those are all really crucial key things that if we are not doing so hot in those are areas that we're going to want to focus in on. Your kids are going to get a grade, or I guess a grade? Would you call it a grade? A letter. You
get put them in a certain bucket.
Yes. So we've got N for needs improvement, S for satisfactory, G for good, E for excellent.
Yep.
So if we are good or excellent, we're thriving, we're happy. If we're satisfactory, I think that we're satisfactory. It's okay, but we've got some room for improvement. Needs improvement, things are a little bit of a hot mess. We probably need to work on this. Yeah,
the needs improvement, I wouldn't necessarily would say it's like a giant red flag, like that there's no course correction that could happen. But really, it's one of those things that a parent should be aware of and start asking questions as to why this might be the case. Certainly warrants a conversation with the teacher, because maybe there's a misalignment on what expectations are or how they're measuring it. What is the teacher's definition? It would definitely be something that I'd bring up in a parent-teacher meeting.
Absolutely. And then underneath all of these, there's a box where the teachers are going to comment on what's happening in the classroom and on these learning skills. And this is something that I had shared with you earlier. I've written report cards previously, and we've all read a report card where it says she instead of he, or the name is wrong, and what's happening is we have teachers who are writing lots of report cards.
Are you pulling the curtain back a little bit here?
I am pulling the curtain back a little bit here. So a classroom teacher is going to be reporting on a lot of subjects: science, math, language.
Especially at the elementary school level.
At the elementary school level, yes. I think primarily coming at it from that elementary level, because those are the report cards I've written.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of grades to write down. They have a lot of comments to write, a lot of kids to write these boxes, about. And then you have potentially a prep teacher where they're teaching gym, they're teaching music. And so they only have to maybe comment or have grades on one or two subjects, but they've got 200
multiple
kids.
classes or multiple grades.
That's it. So they've got all these different kids, all these different grades. So something that a lot of, and I'm not going to say all teachers because I can't speak for all teachers, but a lot of teachers, we get our report card comments from Teachers Pay Teachers. And so, if you don't know Teachers Pay Teachers, it's a website that, you can download resources from. And a teacher has written them. They are great quality comments. They're a starting point. But a lot of them we're copying and pasting. We're having a general sense of, here's what we're reporting on this term. Here's how this student did. So, I had a spreadsheet that said, these are my A students, my B students, my C students, the general comment, and then build around it.
And if it's not coming from Teachers Pay Teachers, there's a possibility it might be generated through AI as well.
Oh, especially now. Yeah. Now, when I was in the classroom, AI was not what it is today. But I would be very surprised if we did not have some AI comments in there.
Yeah, but if you had to write paragraph-long comments about, it could be 30, it could be 60, it could be 100 kids.
Yeah.
In the timeline crunch, that's a big ask for teachers, right?
Absolutely.
So they have to move quickly there.
Yeah, I'm not judging at all. When you have to write that many, it's a lot. You get one day to do it at school. Otherwise, you're doing them on your own time. So, I understand the why behind it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that, as long as we're adjusting and making sure that we're not just copy, paste, making sure that we're looking at the kid.
You want to use it with some intentionality, right?
That's
it. I know a lot of teachers, it's the worst kept secret that a lot of these comments are canned comments. But a lot of teachers that I know would go through and edit and make sure that it's relevant and it's not just generic.
Yes.
Generic.
And after a teacher writes them, and they do, for the most part, write like that learning skills and work habits box on that first page, and this is why I love it, is because that is the part where they're writing about what your kid's doing in the classroom, the connection they've made with that student, what's going well, what next steps are. So those things are happening, which is awesome, and they are still commenting on your kid. So it's not coming from a place of judgment at all. I had my copy and paste as well. And all report cards, they are read, they're given to the principal to read. The principal reads all of the report cards. Teachers have to go through a round of edits saying this, fix this up. And so it is a process. It's not just like copy, paste, print, done. So curtains pulled back a little bit, but not from a way of like crapping on teachers saying, you guys are doing a bad thing. That is not the case at all. So
Page two.
Page two.
What is on page 2?
We have got our subjects and whether our students, there's a little checkbox. We've got progressing with difficulty, progressing well, very well. There's going to be a check mark in one of those boxes.
And they're sort of like our big subjects. So like your math, your languages, depending on the grade level and the school board, French, right? Social studies, science,
music, gym,
health, and normally you'll have how they're progressing and then a comment section as well.
And this is usually where we get those comment box ones. And there's sort of a format as far as here's what they can do, here's a next step. We always want to make sure that report cards are a source for next steps.
And progress report cards.
Yes, progress report cards and reports.
I think that this is a generational thing because both of us...
Progress reports weren't a thing.
Yeah, they weren't a thing back then.
Yeah. And so they will always have a next step or a place to go. So they are important and they are valid because it's going to give you specific areas where a student is struggling and it's going to give you an idea of what you can do or what needs to be worked on.
So we have those 4 categories. 4 or 3. Progressing very well, progressing well, I guess it's 3 categories. Needs improvement.
Yep.
Progressing with difficulty. What essentially do each one of these mean? So I know in one respect it's pretty self-explanatory, but if we had to assign like a grade level or like if a parent's decoding this document, what should be jumping out to a parent? What is something that's like, oh, okay, I don't need to worry about that?
I think I would say any progressing with difficulty. Obviously, we want to address that. Progressing well, I think that if we're overachievers, we want to see that our kids are progressing very well. And so if they're not progressing very well, we might be worrying a little bit. But if we're progressing well, that's just it. They're progressing well.
Yeah. Now you mentioned, I got two things I want to talk about, but you mentioned before we started that progressing very well is sort of a rare score because the teacher and the school board and the principal want to make sure that there is room to grow, that they're not just putting it at a ceiling. And that way you can measure progress when you get these other feedback points.
Exactly.
Right. So progressing very well doesn't mean like, oh, they're an A+ student. What it means is like they're exceptionally, they're going above and beyond in this specific category. But you could have a high mark, you could have an A student in the progressing well category.
Absolutely. And that's it, because it is going to be a flag if there's too many of those progressing very wells, like you said, because there is no room to grow. And it is still pretty early in the school year. So if a student is progressing very well, that's telling us that they're covered. Like the first part of the school year, like they've got what they need to get. We're good.
It's an intervention that I like, or sort of like a skewing of the mark that I like to prevent grade inflation. Which can very much be a thing.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure at some point in the future we'll talk about grade inflations.
I think so. Yeah, that's definitely a topic. And I think too, something that we had discussed was that these grades are based on a teacher's professional judgment. So yes, we've got marks. Yes, we've got our mark book, and there's these expectations. Is a student reaching them? Yes or no? But there's also still that professional judgment that comes in, and this is that education piece that teachers have, and why they get to be teachers, and because they've gone through this process, and what's the difference between progressing well and very well? So there is a little bit of subjectivity in that, but that's the teacher's job, is to be subjective on that front. It is not just here's an average of all of these marks, here's what it is.
Speaking of being subjective, are there certain academic areas that a parent should be more concerned about than others? So is progressing with difficulty with languages weighted the same as progressing with difficulty with, let's say, music?
Right. I think in general, if we're progressing with difficulty, we want to know why. We want to know what's going on. So we want to look at that first page to see what's going on. But is your child going to be a musician? Probably not, and we want to know that, like, are they understanding? But I think that progressing with difficulty in language, that's our warning sign. Because if we can't read, if we can't understand, if we can't communicate effectively in the area of language, it's going to impact all the other subjects.
Yes, because everything that the child is doing throughout the day is delivered through language.
Exactly.
So if there is if they're remedial with their comprehension skills, it could impact basically everything downstream.
Exactly.
It might not creep up in this particular progress report, but it's one of those sort of like things that could spiral out of control over the course of the year.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as a prep teacher, I did music, gym, health, a little bit of kindergarten, outdoor education. And I can tell you that not a single parent ever contacted me to say, hey, what's up with this kid's grade? Because they just weren't as concerned about those subjects.
And no, I don't mean to disparage. And one of my degrees is in music, right?
Absolutely. No.
So that's not to say that there's no value in these things, but the language component, I think, should be weighed heavier when a parent is looking at this feedback, because it is sort of the what do you call it, the bird in the coal mine, the canary.
Yep, the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of what could be coming down the road.
I think so too. I would agree with that. And I think if your student or if your child's progressing well in everything, but progressing with difficulty in gym or in music, if everything's going well except for that, that's a sign to dig into that and say, well, what's going on? What's happening in this specific class? So there's different things to be pulled from all the different areas. But I think language in general, if a kid is struggling with reading, understanding, everything else is going to be tricky.
Action items.
Action items,
So,
yes.
You get I'm going to present a couple of scenarios to you. You're the parent. Your kid comes home with a report card. They're all E's and G's on the cognitive development piece, and let's say progressing well or even progressing very well. Any action items that you'd recommend in that scenario?
I think I would check in with my child, say, hey, this looks great. Let's set some goals to make sure that we can maintain this. Without, I'm not all about that pressure of you have to maintain this, but you know what? Let's look at this. What's going well? Is there anything we want to work on, or how do we keep doing what we're doing?
Yeah. Let's say we get the opposite scenario. We have some needs improvements or some satisfactories on the first page. On the second page, we are progressing well or maybe progressing with difficulty in certain subjects. What would you recommend a parent do as the next steps for that sort of report?
I am definitely hopping in on that parent-teacher interview that will be coming up the week after the report cards come home. One thing that I think is worth mentioning is that if your child is going to be getting a report card sent home with a progressing with difficulty, or when we are going from the progress report to the report card, a D or an R where they're, which is essentially an F, you're getting a phone call ahead of the report card coming home. The teachers have to give a call first so that the parents aren't surprised. So ideally, you will have already talked to the teacher about this. If you haven't, set that up, and then making plans, setting goals, getting to the bottom of what's going on.
And without sort of like tipping our hand in a future episode of what sort of questions a parent should ask in a teacher interview, or what sort of questions should a parent ask briefly in that sort of follow-up interview?
Yeah, I think I would say what's contributing. So if we're looking at the learning skills, I would ask for what behavior they are seeing or not seeing in the classroom that's contributed to this. So needs improvement, okay, specifically what do we need to do? How can we address this? If it's a specific subject, what are we seeing? What's the benchmark? As a lot of parents, we don't know what the benchmark is. We don't know what that success criteria is. I thought my kid was doing okay, but they're not. So what should they be doing? So we want to know what we're reaching for. What's
you want to have a goal.
And what that expectation is. So what do you want to get? Do you want to be progressing well, very well on the report card? Do you want A, B, C? What does that look like? And a teacher should be able to show you examples of what that looks like. And what work has been done to contribute to this. Take a look if you haven't seen any of that. Sometimes stuff doesn't always make it home, or it makes it home in a big bunch, or it's crunched up in the bottom of a bag because it's all sent home, but something happens between leaving school and getting home that the parent never sees it. So I think just what are we seeing? And I think this is a very important one. What is going to be done to address this at the school level? Because if that follow-up isn't there, we need to know.
Basically, it's indicating that some sort of action or course correction needs to happen. You can't just have it, as your favorite saying, wait and see. You can't just have that approach because clearly the status quo, the current process is not sufficient.
Exactly.
Which leads me to my next question. And I realize that this is a bit of a biased question. If a parent gets this sort of report card that indicates that some sort of intervention needs to happen, what are your thoughts on supplemental tutoring?
I mean, of course, I think it's wonderful. Do tutoring.
Yeah.
It's something that if a parent can access it, it's not going to hurt ever to do it.
And it's one of those actionable items that, so some of the onus is going to be on the school, right? But also some of the onus is going to be on the child and the family.
Absolutely.
And these are one of those decisions that a family could make. There's multiple factors, right?
Yeah.
But it is an avenue open to course correct outside of the school's control.
Absolutely. And I think these progress reports are a really good time to, if you've been thinking about it, chances are if a student is progressing with difficulty, unless they're in a very young grade, this isn't the first time that you've seen this. Maybe they had a C. You know, if your child had a C or a D in reading or math, there's a very good chance, if nothing has happened, that on that progress report, they're going to be progressing with difficulty because nothing has changed. And there's not, you know, they've had summer. Now we've only had a couple months of school. And so, you know, that's likely going to be the case. So when you get this progress report and you see progressing with difficulty, act on it. Don't wait. Oh, we'll wait until the winter report card. It's just a couple months away. Every couple months is 20% of the school year. They go for 10 months. So if we're waiting 2 months, that's 20%. That's a good chunk of time. So yeah, if you can swing it, if it's in your budget, if you can make it work, and you have access to supplemental tutoring, I will never say don't do it, because do it. It's the best.
We're kind of steering into another conversation here, but it's one of those things that, you know, it might seem expensive up front, but it's also going to pay dividends as well.
Absolutely.
Right? Because doing these course corrections later on in, let's say, grade 11, in grade 12, first year university, it becomes a much more expensive proposition.
Absolutely. And the younger a student is, the less there is to get caught up on.
Yeah.
So we're catching up 1 or 2 grade levels instead of 6 grade levels, 5 grade levels. So,
and also the density of the content on top of that, right?
Yes. And students, like, the younger a kid is, the more spongy their brains are, the more they just absorb all that knowledge. And, you know, there's so many facts about that, and we'll talk about neuroplasticity one day. And you know, but the younger they are, the easier it is to get these learning skills tucked into their little brains and make them habits for them. And for our neurodivergent kiddos who struggle with habits and establishing routines and making things a habit, the younger they are, the easier it is to do that and to show them why, let them see all their hard work paying off and enjoy that. So I think, yeah, that's, like you said, it's an investment, but a worthwhile one. Absolutely.
And that kid is going to feel so much accomplishment when they get the next progress report or the report card and they're able to see the needle being moved.
Yes.
Right? Because oftentimes it's hard to measure tangible progress with this sort of thing, because you're talking about, you know, something in between people's ears, right?
Yeah.
You're not talking about something you can physically hold. The report card or the progress report are one of those, like, points in time where you have a tangible metric.
Yep.
So
yeah, and sometimes we'll have, you know, in our centers, we'll have a parent say, you know, the grade hasn't improved. You know, they had, you know, they were progressing with difficulty and they've got a D on the report card, so that hasn't improved. And I always will say, let's look at that front page though.
Yes.
And let's see if there's any improvements here. Okay, so their initiative was an N, needs improvement, and now it's satisfactory.
Yeah.
Their self-regulation was an N, and now it's good.
Again,
look
earlier,
at these amazing skills they've acquired.
we talked about earlier, sort of like inputs leading to outputs, right?
Yes.
There is going to be perhaps some lag time, but if the student's demonstrating the, you know, stronger cognitive habits, stronger self-regulation, better organization, is working with greater independence, all the academic stuff downstream will improve.
Absolutely, because you are not, it will be very rare, I'm not going to say never because anything can happen, but you are not likely going to see a student who has all G's and E's on that front page of their report card and is getting D's or progressing with difficulty. Because these learning skills that teach us how to learn, how to absorb information, how to use it, that's the key. That whole thing. I don't even care about the rest of the report card. It's benchmark. It's something that's going to give us, you know, like you said, something to that tangible piece of information that we don't always have. It's a way to track progress, but I don't care about that. I only want that front page. That's the part I care about, because that's what's going to dictate everything else. So if we see improvements there, then we're going to start to see the trickle down of everything else coming up. So
perfect.
yeah.
let's talk about some kiddos that we want to celebrate.
Yes. Do you want me to go first or do you want to go first?
Why don't you go first?
Okay, you've got a pretty good finisher. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that sounds good. I want to talk about Abby from my London location. Abby is a student who's relatively new to the center and is in a rush to do everything.
Okay.
So he is a kid who just wants to get everything done as quick as possible, hand it in, say, I'm finished, I did it, I'm good.
Yeah, it's a race.
It's a race.
If I'm first, I'm the smartest.
That's it. And so, I had an opportunity to work with him and I said, can I tell you why we want you to slow down and to do these things and to read these instructions and why I want you to print neatly and, all of the things, all of these learning skills, right? And, he really took it in and he's in grade 4. So he's
Okay.
he's not, that's my phone. Hold on. Cut. Okay, good.
Yep.
We're a one roll thing. So here we go.
One take wonders.
One take wonders. So my bad. And so he's still in that spongy stage of absorbing this information, but getting into that, sassy pants kid stage, right?
Yeah.
And so it's such a crucial time. And so, he really took that information in. The rest of his class, he did really well and he slowed down. And then he was working with one of my teachers and they came up to me after their class and said, I got to tell you what Abby said. And he kind of was like, did the little nudge. He's like, hey, this whole slowing down and paying attention to my work thing, I can see why you guys teach that. It's making my work at school so much better. So he's made that connection between what he's doing with us, what he's doing at school, and seeing it pay off.
Honestly, Jen, when I speak to parents, and I speak to a lot of parents, I say that 90% of my job, 90% of my whole staff's job is literally putting speed bumps in front of kids, right? Because oftentimes they're just moving too fast. And that's where the careless mistakes happen. That's where the misunderstanding of what they're being asked to do happens. That's where the small details get dropped. Really, most of what we do, it's not a big secret. We're literally putting processes in place to slow kids down so they can be more mindful about what they're being asked to do.
Becoming active learners.
And then also helping them pay attention to the fact that slowing them down is yielding a deeper understanding, right?
Exactly.
So that metacognitive piece, I'm doing this and it's resulting in this action, therefore they feel the value in it.
Absolutely.
Right?
And that's one of the conversations I had with them is you can do it really fast, but you're going to have to do it twice. Or you can take your time, do it carefully, do it slowly, make sure you've done all the parts, make sure everything's where it needs to be. And it might feel like it takes longer, but you're doing it once. And I promise you that that's going to take less time than doing it twice. And so for a student who's only been coming for, at this point, not even 2 months, and just took that in and is applying it, is taking it to school, and then coming back and saying, hey, this works. I can see why you're making me do this, is just
that is
game-changing.
awesome.
So that was
especially at that age level to have that level of self-awareness.
Awareness is amazing.
Love it.
So, yeah. So kudos, Abby.
I printed off an email because I did not want to get this wrong. We have a student, Michael, and Michael is an absolute gem of a human being, but has struggled to kind of put things together. I wouldn't necessarily say that he's racing through to get everything done, but rather he's not necessarily focusing on details and just kind of would move at a surface level through things. That's kind of where Michael is at. And he's been progressing very well. But it was one of those things where the grades were a lagging indicator. So he's practicing these habits that we're talking about, like the critical thinking, making sure that we're reading instructions, that we're going back and checking to see, did we answer the question that we're being asked? Those sort of, speed bumps, right? And I got an email from Michael's mother, Emily, who's also a gem of a human being, who just sent I just had to share that Michael came home to school today excited to voluntarily show me a math quiz. This is something that has never happened before.
Amazing.
And seeing his confidence and his pride on his face was amazing. We enjoyed celebrating the quiz together, and I just wanted to thank everyone who continues to teach and encourage him for contributing to his success. We now have a quiz on the fridge, and we're looking forward to more of these moments. So
Amazing. That's why we do what we do.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and the thing that I really love about that is that Michael himself felt successful. He felt confident. He felt like all the effort that I put in doing all these extra steps to make sure that I'm being detailed is paid off. So he's able to see the return on his investment there.
Yeah. And what a feeling for him to go from that crumpled up, take the test, shove it in the backpack moment to carefully putting it in there to say, look what I did, Mom.
Yeah.
What a game changer.
Yep. Amazing.
All right. I love it. That's it. If you have questions about progress reports or report cards, pop them in the comments or anywhere else that you guys, in the comments, I guess.
Yeah.
Reach out. We will happily answer them. Follow us, subscribe, like. We are everywhere that you get podcasts, YouTube, on Instagram. Follow along with us if you like what you are hearing.
And thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good day.
All right.